Well, welcome. We are excited to have with us today Deb Anderson running for City Council in American Fork. Today, we wanted to be able to take some time to ask some questions of Deb from readers from the American Fork Citizen. Deb is going to be able to give us 1 minute responses or less on these questions, and we'll kind of start from there. So, Deb, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All righty. So, how important is it to stick to the general plan of the city, and how frequent should it be followed or changed?
That is that's a hard answer. I would say it's pretty important, but I think that there's probably a lot you find out behind the scenes that you don't know from this perspective. So I have a pretty narrow perspective to be able to answer that question. Um, and so I think it's just getting in there and getting all the information you possibly can, and then trying to make the best decision, for the good of the whole, rather than just. It's a very one-sided answer for me to say that right now, I guess.
Fair,
So
fair enough. And the next question is, in the 2024 resident survey put out by the city, 61 mentioned concerns with high density. How would you support adding more high density in American Fork, and why or why not?
I would say that I think we have plenty of high density housing. I understand why we have it. I understand where everybody's coming from. I have kids myself that are old enough to be able to want to move here and buy a house here, and it's expensive. But I also think that we need to work on the infrastructure before we can even look at adding more high density housing. So I think that it would be better to stick with what it's zoned for now and not change that. Okay. So,
Great.
yeah.
Next one, areas south and west of the freeway have seen a lot of growth with higher density, particularly in that transit-oriented development area. Road infrastructure has not kept up with the growth. Not only does this represent frustration to residents, but also major public safety concerns. If elected, what plans do you have to get immediate solutions for residents in this growing area?
I cannot speak to an immediate resolution. I don't think that there's such a thing in something that's that big of a problem. But I would say that I have spent a lot of time talking to a lot of residents and really tried to focus too south of the track station, and it is a big concern. And I've been out there at 5:30 at night, and I agree 100% that something needs to be done. The infrastructure is not supporting the amount of growth that we have received in the last few years. And so it is a problem that I would really like to address if I'm elected. I just can't speak to the immediacy of that. I think it's a very big problem and will take a lot of work, but definitely I'm aware and concerned about that.
Alrighty. And next question, what are three things you believe the city can do in the budget to be more efficient with taxpayer dollars?
I Because I haven't served on city council or really been involved in the budget, that's a pretty tough one to speak to. From my perspective, it seems like they do a really good job. I think that Brad is very concerned with the budget and people's money and where the taxpayer money goes. And I think that they've done a really good job trying to put it to the places that are really important. So I'm going to have to. I don't know. I think I'd have to get into it, and if I got elected, I could answer that one a little bit better.
Okay. Sounds good. The next question is, the city has increased its communication budget over the last 10 years. What do you feel like the city could do more to help residents feel better informed about the finances of the city?
I I don't know that there is anything. I feel like they do a good job putting it out there. I mean, it falls into our lap to have to look for that information, but it's there. It's readily available for citizens of American Fork. I myself didn't actually know that that was available until I started looking at running for city council, and talking to the city administrator and the mayor, and finding out that it is available to the public. They have meetings that you can go to, and they break it down for you. I feel like it's a very transparent that information. So I don't know that there is a better way to get it out there.
Okay. And then the next question is, do you support live streaming work sessions and creating a more robust city council packets of information for those work sessions?
Wow. So when you're talking about the a more robust, say that again. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
city
lost
council
the word.
packets. You're good.
Yes. Are you talking about the packets that the city council members get before the meeting?
Yeah, at the work session, just the work
Okay.
session meetings.
Okay. So that one, obviously, I've never been privy to, having never served on city council before. So I can't speak to that. Yes, I'm a fan of putting those online for people to view. I think that it can be really tough to make it to a Tuesday night meeting. And it just makes it so that somebody that needs to maybe watch it at midnight or whenever it's convenient for them, it's available for them to see. Not that I want to be on camera, but absolutely, I think it's a good thing to have it
Okay,
available.
great. And then in Utah, the state legislature has set up property taxes so they don't automatically go up with an increase in property values. This is known as truth in taxation and does not allow property taxes to keep up with inflation. If elected, what policies would you support to help the city taxes keep up with inflation?
I really cannot answer that. I don't know, Rob. I wish I had an answer, but that's something I'd really have to think about before I could give you an answer. So
Okay.
I plead the fifth.
All
Just kidding.
right. Sounds good. We'll move to the next one then. Since 2019, American Fork has spent a lot of time and money on possibly city-owned fiber internet. Since that time, Lehigh, Pleasant Grove, and Cedar Hills have all started construction on their fiber programs. Do you support a city-owned fiber project, and why or why not?
I do, and I'm 100% biased in this. I live in an area where it was new development, and so they didn't put in a box for any type of internet service, and so we have been only able to use the AF City, the Comcast. What is it now? Centricom. It used to be called AF Fiber or whatever, and it is not good internet service. And as they started building more houses, they put in boxes for those houses, but it's too expensive to come back and add one for us. So my street cannot get Xfinity or any of the fast internet services. So for me and for my husband who works from home most of the time, absolutely, I would like to see something better.
Okay, great. And if elected, you will be granted authority by the voters to enact or repeal ordinances that affect their daily lives and the ability to enjoy life. From how they can use their land to how many pets they can own to permits and licensing requirements. If elected, would you look to repeal or create more restrictions on how residents can function and kind of what are your guiding principles there?
Guiding principles, I would say, would be a case by case basis. I can't speak to that as a whole. I try really hard to listen and gather information before I make judgments. And that's been the funnest part for me of going to all the city council meetings and watching the council, and hearing what questions they ask, why they ask them, how they get to the place that they get to and come up with answers. And that's what I would want to do. And so there's not an overall blanket answer for that. It would be definitely case by case.
Okay, great. And during election years, it seems there's a bigger emphasis on connecting with and staying in touch with voters. If elected, what are specific things you will do, not just to inform, but also to listen to and respond to concerns of the residents where they can feel like they're being heard?
The funnest part of this campaign has been actually going out and meeting with people. Every yard sign that's out, I've tried to actually stop at the door. And even if I have, permission before, I like to go in and talk to them, and I want to hear their concerns, and I want to hear what they want to see change in the city. And I would just continue that and just try to be an open ear and email whatever means is easiest for that person. I've had people reach out and text me because they haven't been able to find certain things, and I've responded, and I've offered to come to their house and talk to them. But I love that part of this is talking to the people and hearing from them. So
Awesome. And then we have down that the fitness center is in significant need of a rebuild. In the 2024 survey, residents identified this as the number one project from an options list that the city had given of possible projects. Do you support rebuilding the fitness center? Why or why not? And if not, what should happen with the current facility?
I personally support it because it's a place that I use. I love what it provides for our community. There is not another place in American Fork that can service people from birth all the way up to, we had patrons coming in that were in their 90s, and everybody in between, from gymnastics to the rec department, exercise programs, senior fit, you name it. And the rec center provides that. And so I think it provides a really good quality of life for the citizens. But I also know at the end of the day, it comes down to them. And if it goes on the ballot and they vote, I will support whatever the vote comes in at. And I think we go from there. So if it doesn't pass to build a new one, then I think we look at other options, improving it. But definitely we need some improvement. I worked there 7 years, so I have had a lot of feedback from patrons. And anyway.
Sounds great. Next question is roads are a major concern in American Fork. In the past, the city has given dollar amounts spent on roads as a way to measure success in addressing the situation. What policies do you support to improve road conditions, and how will its success be measured beyond just an increase in money spent?
How will its success be measured? I don't know, maybe from the feedback of the citizens, what they're seeing. I definitely support our roads. We do need repair, right? But I also know that there's a lot more that goes into it than what we see from our narrow perspective. I'm sure that you saw that when you were on city council. There's a lot more to it. So it would be hard to get into the nitty gritty of where money comes from and goes to, and how much of it goes to repairing the roads. But I am seeing a lot going into the repair of the roads, maybe just not as fast as citizens want to see or expect to see. But other than their feedback, I don't know how to measure success.
No. And then, what are three specific things that you would consider some of your biggest accomplishments over the last 4 years? Now, you haven't been in the city council, but just leading up to this and going into it, what would you say has helped prepare you or accomplishments that you've been involved in the community?
I have had the pleasure of just serving in a lot of different capacities in the city. That has been a huge benefit of working at the fitness center. So not only have I had the opportunity to get to know so many of our citizens, and like I said, different ages, but also it's allowed me to be able to serve at in parades and still days and the senior center. I actually got to serve meals at the senior center all during COVID, something I would not have even known that I could do before working at the fitness center. And so I would say that those are probably the best things. I don't know if I would call them accomplishments because they benefit me more than they do other people, but it has been a joy being able to participate in those things and
Great.
get to know our patrons and citizens.
Okay. Next question. Do you support local law enforcement being involved in assisting immigration enforcement or ICE?
That is not a question I have ever even been asked or considered. Rob, I don't know how to answer that one. Because I would support it if the laws are written that way. I support, and I don't know how far reaching, it goes with our American Fork City police officers. So I would just say to follow the law, and I'm in support of that. I don't know how else to answer that one.
Fair enough. And then, second to last question. In a world where hate seems to become more common and more common, what are specific solutions you believe will help keep residents safe and more community focused?
Safe and more community focused. I think that by putting focus into our police department, those that protect and serve us, and training for them. That's a really big part of that, as well as all the first responders, the fire department as well. I think, and I I don't know. Just keeping them informed, I guess. That's a tough question. Yeah, I would say to start with the first responders, though.
Great. And last but not least is kind of your 1 minute to make any last final thoughts to potential voters out there.
Um, I know that I don't have experience on city council. And so maybe just letting them know what I hope to bring to the table, because I don't have that. But I really am out there trying to listen and learn from our citizens. And so my hope would be to go into it, if I get elected, with a fresh set of ears and eyes, and hearing from the bulk of our citizens, their concerns, and then trying to gather all the information and make the best decisions possible for the whole, which we talked about a little bit earlier in this interview. But I think that's what I can bring to the table outside of experience. So.
Well, great. Well, Deb, such a pleasure to get to know you a little bit better. Thank you so much for putting your name in the ring, as they may say, or in the hat, or whatever the saying is. Not easy to put yourself out there as a candidate, and appreciate your time, and look forward to wishing you the best of luck this election cycle.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Rob. Nice to talk to you.